The massive research vessel glided through the void, its quantum-resonant hull shimmering with a soft azure light that pulsed in rhythm with the ship's deep space scanning systems. Chief researcher Zara Lynn watched the holographic displays with an intensity that made her antennae vibrate almost imperceptibly. Centuries of galactic exploration had prepared her for countless first-contact scenarios, but nothing could have prepared her for the enigma that was Earth. Scattered across the multiple translucent screens were fragments of human transmissions, a cacophony of signals that defied traditional analysis. Music blended with mathematical equations, philosophical discussions intertwined with scientific debates, and artistic expressions danced alongside technical schematics. The ship's advanced artificial intelligence struggled to categorize the information, its complex algorithms repeatedly failing to find a consistent pattern. Preliminary analysis complete, announced the ship's central intelligence, its voice a melodic combination of harmonic frequencies. Data classification, unprecedented complexity. Zara Lynn leaned forward, her crystalline eyes narrowing. The human signals were unlike anything in the Luminara Collective's extensive database, where most developing species produced predictable, linear communication patterns. These transmissions seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. A classical music piece would suddenly transform into a mathematical theorem, then seamlessly shift into a philosophical discourse about the nature of consciousness. Her junior researcher, Kiraman, adjusted the quantum filters, attempting to stabilize the incoming signals. "Chief," he called out, "you need to see this. The information transfer, it's not just communication. It's almost like a living system." The main display shifted, revealing a rapid sequence of images. A rocket launch dissolved into a child's drawing, which then transformed into a complex molecular structure. Overlaid were multiple layers of audio, scientific lectures, musical compositions, ambient sounds from various Earth environments. It was as if the humans were transmitting not just information, but entire experiential landscapes. "Fascinating," Zara Lynn murmured. Her specialized training in synanthropological research had prepared her for diverse forms of intelligent communication, but this was entirely new. The human signal suggested a level of cognitive flexibility that challenged everything the Luminara understood about developing intelligent species. The ship's cultural analysis matrix began generating preliminary reports. Each transmission carried multiple layers of meaning, scientific data intertwined with emotional context, technical information wrapped in artistic expression. A weather forecast would include poetic metaphors. A mathematical equation would be presented alongside a musical composition that seemed to illustrate its internal logic. Hiraman's hands danced across the holographic interface, isolating specific signal patterns. "The complexity is deliberate," he said, his voice a mixture of excitement and scientific caution. "These aren't random transmissions. They're a sophisticated form of multidimensional communication." Zara Lynn watched as the ship's systems struggled to process the incoming data. Traditional analysis protocols failed repeatedly. The human signals seemed to resist standard categorization, shifting and changing like living organisms. A transmission about space exploration would suddenly include elements of philosophical inquiry, then transform into a musical composition that seemed to capture the emotional essence of human curiosity. The research vessel's quantum cores hummed with increased intensity. Something about these signals challenged fundamental assumptions about intelligence, communication, and the nature of information itself. The humans were not just sending messages, they were creating complex, multilayered expressions of their collective consciousness. "Prepare a preliminary report," Zara Lynn instructed her team. "But be warned. Nothing we've encountered before will help us understand what we're seeing now." As the first detailed analysis began to take shape, the ship's systems continued to process the endless stream of human transmissions. Each fragment suggested something profound. This was not just a developing species, but a civilization on the brink of a unique form of cognitive evolution. The unexpected signal had become something more than a simple communication. It was an invitation, a complex, multidimensional challenge to everything the Luminara Collective thought they knew about intelligence, creativity, and the potential of conscious beings. Zaralyn allowed herself a rare smile. Their mission had just become infinitely more interesting. The research chamber hummed with anticipation as Zaralyn assembled her most innovative team. Holographic interfaces flickered to life, casting prismatic reflections across the metallic surfaces of the advanced research vessel. Each team member represented a pinnacle of the Luminara Collective's intellectual diversity, specialists chosen for their ability to perceive beyond conventional scientific boundaries. Dr. Xelena, the lead quantum linguist, carefully manipulated intricate data streams that represented human cultural transmissions. Her specialized neural interface allowed her to process information at speeds that would overwhelm most biological systems. "The linguistic patterns are extraordinary," she announced, her voice a melodic blend of scientific precision and genuine wonder. Kiraman, the young researcher who had first noticed the unique signal patterns, prepared a comprehensive cultural analysis matrix. Holographic projections began to materialize around the research chamber, creating a three-dimensional landscape of human cultural expressions. Ancient religious texts floated alongside scientific publications, while artistic masterpieces intersected with mathematical theorems. "Look at this," Dr. Xelena called out, highlighting a specific section of data. A single human text contained layers of meaning that seemed to exist simultaneously. A religious scripture was not just a spiritual document, but a complex philosophical exploration of human potential. Scientific papers carried emotional undertones that defied traditional academic writing. The team discovered something remarkable about human communication. Where most advanced species developed specialized, compartmentalized forms of knowledge, humans seemed to embrace a radical form of intellectual cross-pollination. A poem could contain scientific insight. A mathematical equation could reveal profound emotional depth. Kiraman's analysis revealed a stunning pattern. Human cultures had developed an extraordinary ability to find meaning in uncertainty. Historical records showed civilizations that had faced unprecedented challenges: environmental changes, social transformations, technological disruptions, and instead of collapsing, they had created increasingly complex systems of understanding. "It's almost like a cognitive survival mechanism," Dr. Halvor, the team's psychological researcher, observed. His specialized neural implants processed thousands of human psychological profiles simultaneously. Humans don't just survive challenges, they transform them into opportunities for growth. The research team began to reconstruct the human concept of heaven, not as a simple religious construct, but as a sophisticated cultural technology. It was a collective mechanism for processing complexity, for maintaining hope in the face of uncertainty, for imagining possibilities beyond current limitations. Holographic simulations began to map the evolution of human thought. The concept of heaven transformed across different cultures and historical periods. It was never a static idea, but a dynamic, living framework that adapted to changing human experiences. In some interpretations, it represented a physical afterlife. In others, it became a metaphor for human potential, for collective aspiration. Dr. Xelena isolated a particularly fascinating transmission, a collection of human art, scientific papers, and philosophical discussions about the nature of existence. "They're not just describing reality," she said, her voice filled with excitement. "They're actively reimagining it." The team discovered that human creativity functioned like an advanced problem-solving mechanism. Their ability to hold multiple perspectives simultaneously, to find connections between seemingly unrelated concepts, represented a form of cognitive flexibility unprecedented in galactic research. Kiraman's cultural analysis revealed something even more profound. The human concept of heaven was fundamentally about connection between individuals, between present challenges and future possibilities, between different forms of knowledge and experience. As the research progressed, the team realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. Humans had developed a unique approach to understanding existence, not through rigid scientific categorization, but through a fluid, adaptive framework of imagination and possibility. "We're looking at more than a species," Dr. Halvor said, his neural interfaces pulsing with calculated excitement. "We're observing a living system of collective intelligence." The research chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. The human concept of heaven was not a limitation or a primitive belief system. It was a sophisticated cultural technology, a dynamic method of processing complexity, of finding meaning, of continuous collective evolution. Zaralyn watched her team's discoveries with a sense of profound respect. Humanity had just become the most fascinating research subject in the Luminara Collective's extensive history. The fragments of wonder were beginning to form a breathtaking, unexpected picture of intelligent potential. The quantum linguistics laboratory pulsed with an electric intensity as Dr. Nex began the most intricate analysis of human language ever attempted. Crystalline data structures formed and dissolved around him, each representing a different layer of human communication. The ship's most advanced systems trained to process the complexity of what they were discovering. Language is not just a method of communication for humans, Dr. Nex announced to the assembled research team. It's a living, adaptive system of collective imagination. Holographic displays erupted with intricate linguistic patterns. Most known galactic species developed communication systems that were fundamentally linear and predictable. Humans, by contrast, had created something entirely different. A linguistic framework that could simultaneously express multiple realities, emotional states, and potential futures. Kiriman isolated a particularly fascinating linguistic construct. A single human sentence could contain layers of meaning that would require entire volumes in other species' communication systems. Metaphors danced with scientific precision. Emotional nuance intertwined with logical reasoning in ways that defied conventional linguistic analysis. The team's quantum linguists discovered something revolutionary. Human languages contained unique grammatical structures that allowed for the simultaneous exploration of multiple potential realities. A simple conversation could be a complex navigational system of imagination, with each word serving as a quantum point of potential understanding. "Look at this," Dr. Nex called out, manipulating a holographic representation of human linguistic data. "They've developed a communication system that is fundamentally nonlinear. Each word is not just a descriptor, but a potential gateway to multiple interpretations." The research revealed that human language was more than a tool for communication. It was a sophisticated technology of consciousness, a method of collectively processing and reimagining reality. Metaphors were not just decorative elements, but critical cognitive mechanisms for understanding complex systems. Dr. Xelna's specialized neural interface began to map the linguistic patterns. She discovered something extraordinary. Humans could use language to create entirely new conceptual frameworks. A poet could introduce a scientific breakthrough. A mathematical equation could carry profound emotional resonance. The ship's cultural analysis matrix struggled to categorize the findings. Traditional research protocols proved inadequate. Humans had developed a form of communication that was simultaneously scientific, artistic, emotional, and philosophical. Kiriman's research revealed the deeper implications. The human concept of heaven was not a fixed destination, but a linguistic technology of potential. Different cultures had developed unique variations, each representing a sophisticated method of exploring collective human potential. "They're not just describing reality," Dr. Nex explained to Zaralyn. "They're actively creating new possibilities through language. Each conversation is a form of collective imagination." The team uncovered linguistic structures that allowed humans to hold multiple, seemingly contradictory perspectives simultaneously. A single human could express scientific rationality and emotional vulnerability in the same breath. Their languages contained built-in mechanisms for empathy, for exploring different points of view. Holographic simulations began to map the evolution of human linguistic capabilities. From ancient oral traditions to complex digital communications, human language had continuously evolved as a dynamic system of collective intelligence. Dr. Halvor, the team's psychological researcher, offered a profound insight. "Language for humans is not just about communication," he said. "It's a survival mechanism, a way of processing complexity, of finding meaning in uncertainty." The research chamber filled with a sense of collective wonder. They were witnessing something unprecedented, a species that had developed language as a technology of collective imagination and potential. Zerilyn watched the holographic displays with growing excitement. Each new discovery challenged everything the Luminera Collective understood about intelligence, communication, and the nature of consciousness. As the analysis continued, the team realized they were exploring more than a linguistic system. They were uncovering a sophisticated method of collective problem-solving, a living technology of imagination that defied traditional scientific understanding. The complexity was not a barrier. It was an invitation, a profound demonstration of the extraordinary potential of conscious beings to continuously reimagine their understanding of existence. Dr. Nex looked up, his eyes reflecting the dancing holographic data. "We're not just studying a language," he said softly. "We're witnessing the evolution of consciousness itself." The technology analysis chamber glowed with an intense blue light as researchers mapped the extraordinary connections between human imagination and technological innovation. Holographic displays cascaded with intricate data streams, revealing a pattern that challenged everything the Luminera Collective understood about technological development. Hiraman's hands moved rapidly across the quantum interface, isolating key moments of human technological breakthrough. Each innovation seemed to emerge not from linear scientific progression, but from a complex interplay of imagination, emotional intelligence, and collective aspiration. "This is unprecedented," Dr. Velcour, the team's lead technological historian, announced. His specialized neural implants process thousands of human technological developments simultaneously. They don't just create technology. They imagine entire ecosystems of possibility. The research revealed a stunning correlation. Concepts once considered purely metaphysical, interconnectedness, transcendence, infinite potential, had directly inspired breakthrough technologies in quantum computing, neural networking, and space exploration. Human technological innovation seemed to emerge from a unique ability to imagine beyond current limitations. Holographic simulations began to reconstruct pivotal moments of human technological development. A child's drawing of a flying machine would decades later inspire aeronautical engineering. Philosophical discussions about consciousness became foundational to artificial intelligence research. Artistic expressions of human potential translated into groundbreaking medical technologies. Dr. Xelna isolated a particularly fascinating technological trajectory. Human space exploration technologies emerged not from pure scientific calculation, but from a complex mixture of scientific precision and collective imagination. Each technological leap was preceded by decades of artistic exploration, philosophical speculation, and cultural storytelling. "Look at this," she called out, manipulating a holographic representation of human technological evolution. Their innovations are not just technical solutions. They're living narratives of collective potential. The team discovered that human creativity functioned like an advanced adaptive intelligence system. Their technological developments were not linear progressions, but dynamic, interconnected networks of possibility. A breakthrough in medical technology could emerge from a philosophical discussion about human dignity. An engineering solution might be inspired by an artistic exploration of natural systems. Hiraman's analysis revealed something even more profound. Human technologies carried an inherent flexibility that set them apart from other known galactic civilizations. Where most species developed rigid technological systems, humans created adaptive frameworks that could continuously reimagine themselves. The research chamber filled with holographic representations of human technological innovations. Quantum computers that seemed to blur the line between technological system and living intelligence. Neural interfaces that transformed the relationship between biological consciousness and technological networks. Space exploration technologies that carried the emotional depth of human curiosity. Dr. Halvor, the team's psychological researcher, offered a groundbreaking interpretation. "These are not just technological systems," he explained. "They're extensions of human imagination. Each innovation is a collective expression of possibility." Zaralyn watched the displays with growing excitement. The human approach to technology challenged fundamental assumptions about the relationship between imagination and scientific development. Their innovations were not just solutions to specific problems, but dynamic explorations of collective potential. The quantum cores of the research vessel hummed with increased intensity as more data was processed. Human technological development revealed a unique approach to innovation, one that saw technology not as a separate domain, but as a living extension of human creativity and collective imagination. Holographic simulations began to map the extraordinary connections between human artistic expression, philosophical inquiry, and technological innovation. A musical composition could contain the seeds of a future medical breakthrough. The philosophical discussion about consciousness could inspire a revolutionary approach to artificial intelligence. They don't just create technology, Dr. Velcour said, his voice filled with a mixture of scientific precision and genuine wonder. They transform imagination into living systems of possibility. The team realized they were witnessing something unprecedented. Humans had developed a unique technological approach that defied traditional scientific categorization. Their innovations were not just technical solutions, but dynamic expressions of collective potential. As the analysis continued, the research team found themselves confronting a fundamental question. What was the true nature of technological innovation? Was it a linear progression of technical solutions, or a complex, adaptive system of collective imagination? Zaralyn looked at the holographic displays, her crystalline eyes reflecting the dancing data. Humanity had just become the most fascinating technological research subject in the Luminara Collective's extensive history. The technological revelation was just beginning. The psychological research chamber pulsed with an energy that defied conventional scientific measurement. Zaralyn watched as Dr. Halvor's neural interfaces began processing the most complex emotional dataset ever attempted by the Luminara Collective. Holographic projections of human emotional experiences danced around the researchers, creating a living tapestry of consciousness that challenged every previous understanding of intelligent experience. "It's not just complexity," Dr. Halvor murmured, his specialized analysis systems working at unprecedented levels of intensity. "It's a form of adaptive intelligence we've never encountered before." The team had discovered something extraordinary about human emotional capabilities. Unlike other known species, humans demonstrated an unprecedented ability to hold multiple emotional states simultaneously. They could experience profound sadness and hope in the same moment. They could transform trauma into creativity, pain into innovation, uncertainty into possibility. Kireman isolated a series of emotional transmission records that left the entire research team stunned. Human beings had developed sophisticated mechanisms for processing complex emotional experiences. Where most species would be paralyzed by conflicting emotional states, humans created entire cultural systems for emotional exploration and transformation. Holographic simulations began to map the intricate emotional landscapes of human experiences. A single human could simultaneously process grief, hope, fear, and joy, not as conflicting states, but as an interconnected system of emotional intelligence. Their emotional responses were not linear reactions, but dynamic, adaptive processes of understanding. "Look at this," Dr. Xelna called out, manipulating a complex holographic representation of human emotional data. "They've developed emotional communication as a form of collective problem-solving." The research revealed that human emotional intelligence functioned like a sophisticated adaptive technology. Emotions were not weaknesses to be suppressed, but powerful mechanisms for processing complexity, for finding meaning in challenging experiences, for maintaining collective resilience. Dr. Halvor's most profound discovery emerged slowly. Human beings had developed an extraordinary capacity for empathy that went far beyond simple emotional recognition. They could imagine themselves into entirely different perspectives, could hold space for experiences completely removed from their own immediate understanding. Zaralyn watched the holographic displays with growing fascination. The human capacity for emotional complexity challenged fundamental assumptions about consciousness. intelligence, and the nature of collective experience. The team uncovered emotional transmission records that defied traditional psychological analysis. Humans could transform the most profound suffering into extraordinary acts of creativity and connection. A personal tragedy could become a source of collective healing. Individual pain could be transformed into universal understanding. Kiriman's specialized analysis systems began to map the evolutionary advantages of this emotional approach. Humans had developed emotional intelligence as a survival mechanism that went far beyond individual preservation. It was a collective technology of resilience, of continuous adaptation. They don't just survive challenges, Dr. Halvor explained, his voice filled with a mixture of scientific precision and genuine wonder. They transform them into opportunities for collective growth. Holographic simulations showed how human emotional experiences move through complex social systems. An individual's emotional journey could become a catalyst for collective transformation. Personal stories became universal narratives of possibility. The research chamber filled with a sense of collective wonder. The team realized they were witnessing something unprecedented. A species that had developed emotions as a sophisticated form of collective intelligence. Dr. Xelna isolated a particularly remarkable emotional transmission. It showed how humans could hold seemingly contradictory emotional experiences simultaneously, experiencing deep personal pain while maintaining hope for collective transformation. They've developed emotional communication as a living technology, she said, her neural interfaces pulsing with excitement. Not just a method of individual expression, but a system of collective understanding. Zara-Lynn felt a profound shift in her own understanding. The human approach to emotional experience was not a limitation, but an extraordinary adaptive mechanism. They had transformed emotional complexity into a powerful tool for collective survival and growth. The psychological research systems continued to process the extraordinary data. Each new discovery challenged everything the Luminera Collective understood about consciousness, intelligence, and the nature of emotional experience. As the analysis continued, the research team found themselves confronting a fundamental question. What was the true nature of emotional intelligence? Was it a simple set of individual reactions, or a complex, adaptive system of collective understanding? Dr. Halvor looked up, his eyes reflecting the dancing holographic data. "We're not just studying an emotional system," he said softly. "We're witnessing the evolution of collective consciousness." The emotional intelligence breakthrough was just beginning to reveal its profound implications. The central research chamber of the Luminera Collective's primary council hall fell silent as Zara-Lynn presented her team's preliminary findings on human civilization. Holographic projections danced around the massive circular room, displaying intricate data streams that challenged everything the collective believed about intelligent development. Senior researcher Vexnar, a veteran of hundreds of first contact studies, leaned forward with an expression of profound skepticism. "These findings cannot be correct," he muttered, his neural interfaces scanning the presented data with increasing intensity. Kiriman stepped forward, his young researcher's confidence tempered by scientific precision. "The data is consistent across multiple independent analysis systems," he explained. "Humans represent an entirely new category of intelligent life, defined not by technological advancement, but by their capacity for adaptive imagination." The holographic displays began to reconstruct key moments of human cultural and technological development. Where most galactic civilizations followed predictable patterns of advancement, human progress appeared as a complex, non-linear network of creativity and possibility. Dr. Xelna activated her most advanced linguistic analysis systems. "Their communication is not just a method of information transfer," she explained to the assembled council. "It's a living technology of collective intelligence. Each transmission carries multiple layers of meaning, multiple potential interpretations." The council members watched as complex visualizations showed how human cultural systems emerged. Scientific discoveries intertwined with artistic expressions. Technological innovations arose from philosophical inquiries. Social transformations emerged from collective emotional experiences. Senior researcher Vexnar's skepticism began to waver. The data was too comprehensive, too consistent to be dismissed. Humans had developed a civilization that defied traditional understanding of intelligent development. Zeralin presented the most controversial finding. Humans do not see barriers between different forms of knowledge, she explained. A poet can introduce a scientific breakthrough. A mathematical equation can carry profound emotional resonance. Their approach to understanding is fundamentally different from any known galactic civilization. The research team had discovered something extraordinary. Human civilization functioned like a complex, adaptive system that continuously reimagined its own potential. Traditional metrics of technological or cultural advancement simply failed to capture their unique approach to existence. Holographic simulations showed how human societies process challenges, where most civilizations would collapse under environmental, social, or technological pressures. Humans seemed to transform difficulties into opportunities for collective growth. "Look at this," Kiriman called out, manipulating a series of data streams. "They've developed entire cultural systems for processing uncertainty. Challenges that would destroy other civilizations become catalysts for innovation." The council chamber began to divide. Some researchers saw the human data as a threat to established understanding. Others recognized it as the most exciting scientific discovery in generations. Dr. Halvor presented the psychological analysis. "They're not just surviving," he explained. "They're continuously reimagining the nature of survival itself. Each challenge becomes an opportunity for collective transformation." Vexinar's neural interfaces worked overtime, processing the unprecedented data. The humans defied every established model of intelligent development. They were not defined by technological superiority or cultural stability, but by their capacity for continuous adaptation. The holographic displays began to show how human creativity functioned as a form of collective intelligence. Artistic expressions could inspire technological breakthroughs. Philosophical inquiries could transform social systems. Emotional experiences could become catalysts for scientific discovery. "We're witnessing something unprecedented," Zeralin said, her voice calm and precise. "A civilization that has developed imagination as a primary survival mechanism." The council members watched as complex visualizations showed human progress. It was not a linear trajectory, but a dynamic, interconnected network of possibility. Each breakthrough emerged from unexpected connections, from the ability to hold multiple perspectives simultaneously. Kiriman's final presentation revealed the most profound implication. Humans had developed a unique approach to intelligence that saw no fundamental barriers between scientific, artistic, emotional, and philosophical understanding. As the presentation concluded, the research chamber was filled with a sense of collective wonder. The Luminera Collective was confronting a fundamental challenge to everything they understood about intelligent life. Vexnar looked up, his long-held scientific skepticism transforming into something else. "We're not just studying a new civilization," he said softly. "We're witnessing the evolution of a new form of intelligence." The galactic paradigms were about to be rewritten. The first direct communication chamber hummed with anticipation. Zeralin and her team prepared for the most critical moment of their research: direct interaction with human representatives. Quantum communication systems calibrated to unprecedented levels of linguistic and emotional sensitivities stood ready to bridge two fundamentally different forms of intelligence. Dr. Halvor adjusted the final communication protocols. "We're not just establishing first contact," he muttered to Kiriman. "We're attempting to translate entirely different modes of understanding." The holographic interface flickered to life, revealing a diverse group of human representatives. They were nothing like the uniformed diplomatic delegations of other galactic civilizations. Scientists sat alongside artists. Philosophers stood next to engineers. Each individual seemed to carry multiple layers of expertise and perspective. The lead human representative, Dr. Elena Rodriguez, spoke first. Her words carried a complexity that immediately challenged the translation systems. "Our concept of potential," she began, "is not a destination. It's a continuous journey of discovery. Kiriman watched in fascination as the translation systems struggled to capture the full depth of her communication. A single sentence contained layers of philosophical, scientific, and emotional meaning that defied linear interpretation. The humans began to explain their approach to understanding existence. It was not a fixed system of knowledge, but a dynamic, continuous process of collective imagination. They spoke of challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for collective growth and transformation. Dr. Selma's linguistic analysis systems worked at maximum capacity. The human communication was a living system, each word carrying multiple potential meanings, each phrase a gateway to broader understanding. We don't see boundaries between different forms of knowledge, Dr. Rodriguez continued. Science is a form of poetry. Art is a method of scientific inquiry. Emotion is a technology of understanding. The Luminera research team watched in collective amazement. The humans were not presenting information. They were demonstrating an entirely new approach to intelligence, one that saw connection and possibility in everything. Holographic displays began to map the extraordinary complexity of the human communication. Each statement carried multiple layers of meaning. A discussion about space exploration would suddenly include a profound philosophical inquiry. A scientific explanation would transform into an artistic expression. Zerilyn felt a profound shift in her own understanding. These were not just words. This was a demonstration of a living, adaptive form of intelligence that transformed communication itself into a method of collective discovery. The human representatives began to share their approach to addressing global challenges. They spoke of environmental restoration not as a technical problem, but as a collective reimagining of human relationship with planetary systems. Technological innovation was described as a form of collective storytelling. Dr. Halvor's psychological analysis systems worked overtime. The humans were demonstrating an approach to intelligence that saw no fundamental separation between individual and collective experience. Each personal story was simultaneously a universal narrative. Kiriman isolated a particularly remarkable moment of communication. A human physicist began explaining a complex scientific concept through a musical metaphor. An artist described technological innovation using the language of emotional experience. We are not defined by what we know, one of the human representatives explained, but by our capacity to continuously reimagine what is possible. The communication became a living demonstration of human potential. Each moment revealed new layers of complexity, new methods of understanding that challenged every previous galactic concept of intelligence. Dr. Selma's linguistic interfaces began to recalibrate. The human communication was not just a transfer of information, but a method of collective imagination. Each word was a potential gateway to new understanding. Zerilyn watched the holographic displays with growing excitement. This was more than a first contact scenario. This was a fundamental transformation of understanding itself. The human representatives continued to speak, each moment revealing new layers of their extraordinary approach to existence. They spoke of challenges as opportunities, of limitations as gateways to new possibilities, of individual experience as a method of collective understanding. As the communication progressed, the Luminera research team realized they were witnessing something unprecedented. This was not just a meeting between two civilizations. This was a profound demonstration of a new approach to intelligence, one that saw possibility, connection, and transformation as the fundamental nature of existence. Dr. Halvor looked at Zerilyn, his neural interfaces pulsing with excitement. "We're not just receiving information," he said softly. "We're experiencing a living technology of imagination." The transformative encounter was reshaping understanding itself. The final research compilation chamber glowed with an intensity that seemed to pulse with collective anticipation. Zerilyn stood before the assembled Luminera collective, preparing to present the most profound scientific discovery in their civilization's history. Holographic displays swirled with intricate data streams, representing years of research into human potential. "We are not presenting a conclusion," Zerilyn began, her voice carrying a mixture of scientific precision and profound wonder. We are offering an invitation to reimagine the very nature of intelligent existence. The comprehensive report revealed something extraordinary. Humanity was not just a developing species to be studied, but a living demonstration of a fundamentally different approach to consciousness, innovation, and collective potential. Kiriman stepped forward, activating the primary holographic interface. Complex visualizations began to map the unique characteristics of human intelligence. Unlike any known galactic civilization, humans had developed a form of collective consciousness that defied traditional scientific understanding. Dr. Halvor's psychological analysis formed the core of the initial presentation. Humans had transformed emotional complexity into a sophisticated adaptive mechanism. Where most species saw emotions as potential weaknesses, humans had developed them as powerful tools for collective problem-solving and innovation. They do not simply survive challenges, Dr. Halvor explained. They transform difficulties into opportunities for collective growth. The holographic displays began to reconstruct key moments of human development. Scientific breakthroughs emerged from artistic imagination. Technological innovations arose from philosophical inquiries. Social transformations were catalyzed by collective emotional experiences. Dr. Xelna presented the linguistic analysis, revealing the most profound discovery. Human communication was not a simple transfer of information, but a living, adaptive system of collective imagination. Each transmission carried multiple layers of meaning, multiple potential interpretations. Language for humans is not a tool, she explained. It is a technology of possibility. Each word is a gateway to reimagining existence. The research revealed a civilization that saw no fundamental barriers between different forms of knowledge. A poet could introduce a scientific breakthrough. A mathematical equation could carry profound emotional resonance. Their approach to understanding defied every established galactic model of intelligence. Zeralin activated the most comprehensive visualization yet. It showed how human potential functioned as a complex, adaptive network. Traditional metrics of civilization development, technological advancement, social stability, scientific progress became meaningless when applied to human experience. They are not defined by what they know, Kiriman added, but by their capacity to continuously reimagine what is possible. The assembled researchers watched as holographic projections demonstrated human adaptive capabilities. Faced with environmental challenges, social disruptions, technological limitations, humans did not merely survive. They transformed each obstacle into an opportunity for collective reimagining. Dr. Halvor's final psychological analysis was the most profound. Humans had developed a unique approach to consciousness that saw no fundamental separation between individual and collective experience. Each personal story was simultaneously a universal narrative of potential. The research compilation became more than a scientific document. It was an invitation to reimagine the nature of intelligent life itself. Zeralin presented the most controversial finding. Humanity represented a new category of intelligent existence, defined not by technological superiority or cultural stability, but by an unprecedented capacity for adaptive imagination. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. The Luminera Collective was confronting a fundamental challenge to everything they understood about intelligence, consciousness, and the nature of existence. We are not just studying a new civilization, Zeralin concluded, her voice carrying a sense of profound possibility. We are witnessing the evolution of a new form of intelligence. The holographic displays began to dissolve, leaving behind a sense of collective wonder. The final research compilation was not an endpoint but a beginning, an invitation to explore a fundamentally different understanding of potential. Kiriman looked at the assembled researchers, his young face reflecting both scientific precision and profound hope. Humanity, he said softly, is not a destination. It is a continuous journey of collective imagination. The universe had just become infinitely more complex, infinitely more wonderful. As the research chamber began to empty, a sense of collective transformation hung in the air. The Luminera Collective stood on the brink of a new understanding, one that would reshape their entire conception of intelligent existence. The final page of the research compilation contained a single profound statement: potential is not something to be measured. It is something to be continuously reimagined.